Cast, a weekly LSU football film study with Charles Hannegriff and former LSU tight end Richard Dickson. Now to break down the Tiger tape, here's Charles and Richard.
Since 1984, North Shore Food Bank has been a cornerstone of downtown Covington, proudly serving all of St. Tammany Parish. Each week, we provide essential supplemental food resources to more than 350 households and partner organizations to support the most vulnerable in our community. Directly addressing food insecurity through a number of different programs, North Shore Food Bank specifically delivers weekend food bags to 8 different public elementary schools and also to operate student choice pantries in 3 public high schools for those experiencing homelessness. Join the fight. Visit northshorefoodbank.org to learn how. Welcome to the Hanny Cast for Wednesday, January the 7th. I'm Charles Hannegriff along with former Tiger Richard Dickson. Hope you had a wonderful holiday. We're back from our break. But Richard, there's no break for the college coaches at this time of year. They went straight from regular season into postseason with recruiting stuck in there. And then the transfer portal opened last Friday. And to say that there's been a little bit of movement would be an understatement. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the first additions to LSU from the transfer portal for Lane Kiffin, and we've got the first 11. Actually, we had a late edition right before we got on. So just to tell you, we're doing this on Wednesday the 7th. We'll do a series of these until we finish with all of them at the end of the portal. And, Richard, I think that number is going to be in the mid to high 20s before LSU is done.
Yeah, I mean, I think LSU's lost 30 to the portal already, 35. You got to replace those guys. And look, you're looking at it, I think, for now, we're seeing a lot of receivers, running backs, offensive weapons, but we still got to get a quarterback. We don't have one on the roster that's, a scholarship guy. I don't know how many offensive linemen we have on the roster at this point. Lost quite a few of them.
Fewer than they did.
Yeah, I don't think they have really enough to fill it out, but it's something that, I'm addicted to it right now. I'm watching my phone all day, looking at it. I'm trying to see who's the next guy they get.
We're going to refrain from talking about the quarterbacks this week because a couple of things are obviously in motion right now. If you're watching this 2 weeks later going, what the deal?
Yeah.
I get it, but this is where we are. This is what we know right now about what they have. I have heard from friends, listeners, colleagues, and it's all, what about the linemen? What about the linemen? And my stock answer is this, okay? Not the first time Kiffin's done this. Not the first time he's had to rebuild a roster. Not the first time he's changed jobs. Maybe the timing of it's a little bit different than the last time he had to do this, but he understands what they need. He's been looking at that roster for a month before the portal opened. I'm confident he has a plan. If they sign 25 guys and they don't sign any offensive linemen, I will be the first person to get on here and criticize him. But for the moment, I believe he's got a plan. He knows what he's doing. So one thing at a time.
Yeah, I mean, he was dubbed the portal king before he got here, and that's what everybody's excited about. He's talked about it. I was a little bit, not frustrated with Kiffin or anything. Like, there were guys we watched at the end of the year that I was excited about. The Ori Williams leaving, I thought he played the best out of anybody we saw. Kern, I'm seeing these guys go to SEC schools, and then that's just where you start to get the nervous ticker. Like, okay, well, what's next for us? Who are we getting? And that's what we're going to have to just wait and trust in the process.
It's a reasonable concern. And I thought there were some kids there with some talent that would have benefited from a fresh set of eyes on them and maybe some different ways of teaching some techniques.
Or an inside run drill that didn't get run until after the coaches left.
Yeah. So I understand the nervousness. Let's see how this all plays out. I'm quite certain that Lane Kiffin is aware of the portal of the offensive line deficiencies of last year. We're brought to you by China in the heart of downtown Hammond, upscale Italian restaurant serving traditional dishes in contemporary fashion inspired by an abundance of fresh local produce and the ways of old. China creating a unique dining experience using local ingredients and delicious recipes to create an exceptional dining experience while also providing a fresh and inclusive atmosphere that can be enjoyed by everyone in the heart of downtown Hammond, China. And we're also brought to you by the Capital Area USSSA affiliate, Baton Rouge area. Events for all levels of skill. Host league play, rec all-star divisions, double AAA and Major League state and national events. A lot of exciting events lined up for this spring. Contact Lane Petrie for more information, 225-771-9095, 225-771-9095. All right, Rich, let's jump in here. And the first player, we're gonna do this in the order that they came in. So we're gonna start out with Jackson Harris, a wide receiver from Hawaii. He was first team All Mountain West. He led the league in touchdown receptions and yards per catch. 6'3", 205 pounds, originally from Berkeley, California. He spent 2 years at Stanford and then last year at Hawaii. He only had 6 catches at Stanford, so the film we're going to show you is from Hawaii. 49 catches for 963 yards, 13 touchdowns. He only played 10 games. That's 19.7 yards per catch, Rich, and 5 plays of 68 yards or more. And as we talk about, we got
4 of them were for touchdowns.
Yeah, we got 4 wide receivers that we're going to talk about in this deal, and the big playability is what really stands out about them.
Well, this is what we've been missing the last couple of years is this guys that we thought we had ability in that could go do it and get down the field. But he's a big guy at 6'2", what you said, 19 yards a catch. I mean, what I've seen in the guys they're going after, I've seen a 19 yards per catch guy, a 17 yards per catch guy, a 16 yards per catch guy. Lane Kiffin's going after big play guys, and this guy's got all the size and the ability to do it. He looks like he's going to fit in. Kind of reminds me of a receiver that Lane had at Ole Miss 2 years. Was it Trey Harris?
Trey Harris.
Similar to me, similar body style and the style of play. He's a guy that, he looks the part.
And for the record, I think that LSU might have been able to go down the field a little bit more to guys like Barry Brown and Chris Hilton had Garrett Nussmeier not been hurt. I think that'll be the epitaph of this season is the deep game was compromised because he wasn't able. Well, it wasn't even his fault. He just was not able to throw the ball down the field with the kind of authority that he had the year before.
Yeah, and we look, Chris Hilton had a lot of ability, but we spent 2 years waiting on Chris Hilton.
We did.
There's a lot of plays down the field that he was uncomfortable with. He wasn't as smooth down the field, high pointing the ball, running through the catch. He's a guy that looked the part, but we never got the play out of him. And I'm not taking anything away from this year. Was like the offense line struggled to get us down the field, and Nussmeier not being healthy wasn't allowed to have the guy to throw it to him. But these are guys that this guy's got more on tape than Chris Hilton ever had. This is stuff that you've seen put into play. He's a guy that you're going to expect a lot out of.
And I understand this is against mostly Mountain West competition. This is against Stanford, but most of this is against Mountain West competition that we're watching. But you're seeing a lot of different things. You're seeing him make some contested catches. You're seeing him beat some people deep. You're seeing him with the run after the catch ability. So there's a lot to like about Jackson Harris.
There's a big one right there. I mean, you saw him run comeback routes. You saw him run scramble drills. You saw him run go routes, high point the ball. There wasn't one thing in the aspect of the game that he didn't do in the clips that we watched.
I know that Lane Kiffin runs an offense that gets receivers open. If you got these guys with this big playability, that's one of the exciting things.
The contested catch is what really impressed me on this film is there's a lot of plays going up there with hands in his face, bodies on him, and making the play.
Was the number 1 receiver for Hawaii this past year. I'll take that one to the end zone. All right, the next player we're going to talk about is a running back. This is Racine Guillory from Utah. 5'9", 192 pounds, originally from Aledo, Texas, which is near Fort Worth. He was a 3-star. 2,900 yards total at Aledo and 48 touchdowns in just 2 years. He played somewhere else his freshman year in high school. Then he played at Aledo in his sophomore and junior year, and then he skipped his senior year. He enrolled at Utah early. Now, he did not play very much. He only had 1 carry for Utah this past year. So this is high school film from him back at Aledo, and you're going to see a guy that's very elusive and can catch the football. He had over 350 yards of receiving yardage and 6 touchdowns in addition to all the yards he had on the ground. So I obviously not a heavy-duty back, but we've seen Kiffin also with backs that can catch the football that you can do a lot of things with, and he was a pretty highly recruited guy, ended up going to Utah early, and LSU's running backs room is in need of some reinforcements. Only Harlan Berry is coming back.
For this guy, to me, he looks like a good running back. We're watching high school film right now, and it's really hard for me to judge. But the one thing that I'm going to take into account is I played football with Kevin Smith at Detroit. Kevin was a guy I looked up to my rookie year in Detroit. I knew the type of guy he was. He was a leader in the room. The way he commanded the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to trust his evaluation. You go back to Lane Kiffin and Kevin Smith, since they've been at Ole Miss, I want to say they've led the SEC in rushing 2 of the last 3 years, been in the top 3 every year they've been together. They know what they're looking for. They know the guys they're going after. This is an evaluation that you got to just trust the guys that are looking at the film.
And, for Utah, here's what I know about, Kyle Whittingham is going to Michigan now, but that program always seemed like it had older kids, some kids who had gone on missions, some of, Pacific Islander descent that were older kids. A 17-year-old kid going in there expecting to play right at the beginning probably wasn't realistic. So I'm not surprised that he did not play a lot.
Yeah, well,
as basically a high school senior.
The one thing I know about Utah is those guys run the ball. They've always had good running backs. I mean, every game I've watched is usually, later in the year, they've had some thumpers in there that have been good at running the ball. Their evaluation, they haven't missed a lot on running backs.
We're brought to you by Dependable Storage with 8 locations across Louisiana and 1 in Gulfport, Mississippi, matching any competitor's pricing and convenient online rentals and payments. Free use of the moving truck for new rental move-ins. Clean, secure, and conveniently located facilities. Check out the website at dependablestorage.com for locations, pricing, and rentals. Like Skip Burtman always says, Dependable Storage, we want your stuff. Here's your wheelhouse. Tight end Malachi Thomas from Pitt. 6'4", 240 pounds, 2 seasons at Pitt. Did not use him a lot in the pass game.
My style of tight end at LSU.
A little bit. 15 catches, 214 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So we've got just a little bit of film on him. This is a game they played against East Carolina. Here's one against NC State. You see him catch the ball out in the flat there.
Good-looking 82. I wore 82 for a couple years.
There's some 82 jerseys somewhere in Mississippi with your name on them that never got sold after you changed to 18, right?
They're still in the storage bin for Hibbett Sports in the Gulf Coast.
I think we've got all 15 catches that he had while he was at Pitt.
Pitt's always had some good tight ends. Nate Bynum was a guy I played with. If you go look at what Pitt's done traditionally, we got a lot of tight ends drafted in the NFL. So I think that he's got a lot of ability. He looks very fluid. Can move well. Like you said, he had 15 catches in his career over there.
Yeah.
But look, you need another bigger body. Go back to watch the Ole Miss film we broke down. They didn't have a lot of true tight end, hand in the ground guy that's going to be on the ground. The guy that we talked about when we broke down that last film was a lot of like H-back, a guy that was moving in, kind of slot over like a fullback, could lead block, could get out on the outside, reach block. They look for smaller guys that can move and get on the outside of the offense.
Next player we're looking at is another wide receiver. This is Trey Brown from Old Dominion, 6'2", 180 pounds, 1 season at Old Dominion. He has spent his previous year at Hutchinson Junior College in Kansas. They won the national championship that year. He was all Sun Belt this year. He led the league in yards per catch, 20.1 yards per catch, 38 catches, 762 yards, 4 touchdowns, 7 plays of 40 yards or more. I told you that's a common theme with these wide receivers. They're big play guys. And another cool stat on him, his biggest game of the year was when they played James Madison, who made the playoffs. He had 4 catches for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns against James Madison, including a 98-yard touchdown. Trey Brown, who has a good size and an awful lot of production this year for ODU. By the way, the quarterback ended up transferring. Colton ended up transferring to Wisconsin. He was somebody that, let's just say I had heard his name quite a bit with the old staff about potentially being a transfer portal target. He ended up at Wisconsin, kind of a quarterback that Lane Kiffin could have done something with, but they're going in a different direction there. But Trey Brown had an awfully good year.
It's another tall guy, rangy. When you watch this film, he runs go routes, post routes, slant routes. I mean, he's a guy that's going to try to make 1 or 2 moves, get down the field, beat you with speed. But like you said, there's a theme of the receivers that they're going out and getting. What's this guy?
This is the 98-yarder right here. No, I'm sorry.
That's a hell of a catch, the diving catch, the play and contest.
I'm looking at the wrong one. The 98-yarder was against James Madison. So you're looking at a guy that a little vertical.
He's a vertical deep threat.
You averaged 20 yards a catch.
So he averaged 20?
20.1.
Okay, the other guy averaged 19?
0.7.
There's a pretty solid theme going on with these guys.
I would say so. All right, we're brought to you by Town Square Pizza for pickup or delivery downtown Baton Rouge on North Boulevard. Delicious, personalized pizza with unmatched speed. For you out-of-towners, they're open Monday through Saturday from 11 until 8. Actually, if you're in town as well. If you work in downtown, Town Square Pizza can get you in and out if you got a limited amount of time for lunch. Town Square Pizza, and the king cakes are coming from Mardi Gras. They have multiple flavors of king cakes. I had this. Think about that warm bread for that they use for the pizza, except put it in a king cake. Absolutely knock your socks off. Looking forward to that. At Town Square Pizza in downtown Baton Rouge. Move over to the defensive side of the ball here for the next couple, and I think you're going to like this film of Todd Benefield, who is from Boise State, 6'2", 205 pounds, originally from Altadena, California, 3 years at Boise State. First team All-Mountain West, 105 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss. Is a safety now. 8.5 tackles for loss. That was last year.
Yeah.
That's not career. I'm going to give you his career numbers in a minute. 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. Basically, I don't think he started the very first game for Boise State, but he was in the first month, became a starter and basically a 3-year guy. 235 career tackles, 18 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 5 interceptions, 16 passes defensed. LSU hit the jackpot with the safeties in the portal last year. I think they got another one good one here in Todd Benefield.
He's my favorite player we've got so far, just from the film I've seen. He plays he reminds me of Halsey. Like, he plays downhill, plays heavy. He lays the hits. There's a lot of clips that I saw online about him blowing up guys in the backfield. He's a guy that, to me, he's 6'2", 205.
Yeah, he's about 4 inches taller than Halsey.
He's a big body guy, but think of what we're trying to replace right now. I mean, he's a guy that would you roll Spears down in the star position? Would you put him in the star position? I mean, because we feel pretty good about getting Cooley back, Spears back, add this guy to the mix. One of them could play star for me, and I think that you couldn't go wrong either way.
You know how much I liked Halsey last year, and I love the film that I've seen on this kid too. So they have done the job.
The aggressiveness is what reminds me of Halsey, like not size wise, but the way they fly up and just use all their body and lay it on the line.
You think Blake Baker's excited watching this guy?
I think Blake Baker watched this film. He's like, we just had a guy that looked kind of similar to this that did really well for us.
And I look at this kid and I say, this is somebody who's going to play in the NFL for a while. I mean, he looks like an NFL safety to me from a size standpoint, from an aggressiveness standpoint. There's nothing I don't like.
It's been my favorite film to watch so far because
all right, from Boise State, another all-conference. First team all-Mountain West. I don't know if I mentioned that the first time. All right, the next player you're going to see is defensive lineman Stephylan Green from Clemson. 6'4", 290 pounds, 2 years at Clemson, 34 tackles, 3.5 sacks. He only played in 7 games last year. Some of this footage that you're going to see was against
his biggest
LSU.
game was against LSU, I think, statistically wise.
When you're going to see here that there was a number of plays that he made. He fought some injuries, so he didn't play. He only played a little better than half the season. Here's one of the plays that you're going to see where he stops
he did a great
shovel
job
pass.
scraping the offensive line, keeping their hands off of him, sliding with the play.
That's not the only play you're going to see him against LSU. Here's number 90 for Clemson. Clemson didn't have the year they wanted either. Here's another play against LSU.
And plays with his hands well, keeps his head out the chest. Plays with good technique.
LSU having to replace a number of defensive linemen at 6'4", 290. Played primarily on the interior, but you may see him flex out just a little bit, maybe some 5 technique.
He's a little bit smaller, but he reminds me of Guillory. The way that he plays the line, doesn't lose ground, is not necessarily penetrating a lot, but he is playing with his hands well and keeping his head out to find the ball.
2 years at Clemson. That's a pretty good inside move on Bill Belichick in North Carolina there. Another one where he
got a lot of
collapses
push.
the interior, like we saw out of Stefan Green. All right, the next player we're going to look at is running back Rod Gainey Jr., 6 foot, 185 pounds, out of Charlotte. I'm just going to tell you right now, Charlotte was not good this year at all. They were 1-11, and they were just a bad football team. So Gainey was not exactly running behind the old Dallas Cowboy lines blocking for Emmitt
Wasn't
Smith.
running behind LSU's offensive
No,
line
74
either.
carries, 260 yards, 3.5 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. He caught 16 passes, but for only 64 yards. He's 1 year out of Tampa Bay Tech. He was the number 124 prospect out of Florida in 2024. So you get one play here. This is pretty much what we could find. This wasn't a whole lot of real good tape on Charlotte this year. I apologize, but I wanted you to get a look at him. This was his best run of the season, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've seen a lot more film on him, but that's what we had available to us. Charlotte was just bad.
Yeah, well, this is what I go back to. I'm going to trust Kevin Smith and Lane Kiffin. I mean, they're guys that have, what we just said previously about the other running back. They have led the SEC in rushing previously in the last 3 or 4 years. And they know what the guys are looking for. They know the style of play they want. Those are guys you got to trust on their evaluations.
We're brought to you by Bayou Apparel, helping local businesses communicate their message since 2009. If you're looking for anything LSU, go to everythinglsu.com, made by locals and shipping from Baton Rouge. Their design experts at Bayou Apparel can help you create eye-catching designs that fit your company's message, logos, event T-shirts, and promotional items for your business. Call 225-928-9090 or go to everythinglsu.com. Couple more receivers, and these guys played a lot. Jace Brown from Kansas State, 3-year player, 6 foot, 179 pounds. In his career at K-State, 115 catches, 1,972 yards. Not a big play guy at all. Only 17 yards per catch, 13 touchdowns. So that was his 3-year stats. Last year, 41 catches, 712 yards, 17.4 yards per catch, and 5 touchdowns for Jace Brown.
And I thought that he was one of the bigger names they were going after. I feel like he was the guy I talked about early on, one of the guys they want to go out and get because he was a big name. He's, like you said, there is a theme to everybody he's going after. These guys go make big plays. You got a 17 yards per catch guy, a 19 yards per catch guy, a 20 yards per catch guy. And this is a guy taking a handoff out the backfield. He's another athlete, a big play guy.
Kansas State, under new management, as Chris Kleiman announced his retirement at the end of the season, which was a little bit of a surprise
that was
there.
a hell of a way to track the ball.
But I bring up Kleiman because I had an awful lot of respect for the program he ran at Kansas State and the programs he run at the FCS level before that. If you can play for that guy, you're probably a hard-nosed football player. And Brown was extremely productive in his time at K-State. That was against Iowa State. That was the game in Ireland to open last season.
He's very smooth. I feel like he's deceptively fast and quick. Like he makes one move and gets by guys that are not expecting him to go run past him. But there's a lot of big plays here, catching in traffic. The 3 guys we've showed so far is all of them are exciting to watch.
Final player final receiver we're going to look at is a name familiar to SEC football fans, and it's Eugene Wilson, Trey Wilson, 5'10", 184 pounds, 3 years at Florida, 107 catches, 1,043 yards, 9.7 yards per catch, and 10 touchdowns.
Breaking theme.
What's that?
He's breaking theme.
Yeah, he's breaking theme. The thing with him is last year he had 27 catches for 239 yards, 3 touchdowns, 8.9 yards per catch, but that was only 6 games. He's only played 10 games in the last 2 years, so he's had some injury problems. When he's been there, he's been productive. He just has missed a lot of time. He also had 10 carries last year for 67 yards, and I think there's maybe 1 or 2 carries in this film that we're showing you. He's one of those guys that if they can get him on the field, he's probably going to be productive. But keeping him healthy, we got to give you the whole story here. And he's missed better than half the games the last 2 years. So hopefully, going into his fourth season, the injury bug is behind him.
Yeah, and look, these guys know what they're looking for. Look, Florida hasn't been throwing the ball all over the place the last couple of years. They've had some issues, but this guy's got quickness, he's got speed, he's got a little bit of things he can do from the slot. He's a perfect inside player to match with all the guys and the deep weapons they have.
And you see him scoring a touchdown in Tiger Stadium. And this is I believe from 2 years ago against Georgia. Yeah. And I wanted to show some of this stuff as well because, well, Georgia, usually one of the better defenses in the country. And here's another game from the cocktail party from 2 years ago. And you see him catch the ball in the middle and make a guy miss and get up the field a little bit. Here's one against Tennessee. Another nice snag there. I think he'll help him, Rich, if he can stay on the field.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you he's the type of player. I hadn't seen enough. But just from the route combinations he's running, the way they're using him, is very similar to how we've used Aaron Anderson. He's a guy that's going to run a lot of slants, pop off the ball, run shallow crosses. He's a guy that you want to get the ball in his hands quick and let him make a play down the field.
From a backyard shed to the top of the game, more than just a baseball bat, Company Marucci, a legacy built in passion and precision, 2 decades of crafting the finest wood, metal, and leather in the sport. Here to help you run the game at MarucciSports.com. And don't forget the Hitter's House, 5801 Segan Lane on 1801 Airline Drive in Metairie. Members, 24/7 access to the members-only cages, bullpen cage, reservation opportunities, 15% discount at the retail store. All of your Marucci aluminum and composite bats available as well. Go to MarucciSports.com for more information. Baseball season be here before you know it. All right, so we got 2 more players. One of them came in very late, but we probably weren't going to be able to get a whole lot of film on him because he is a long snapper, Mark Mulhorn. Both of Mark Mulhorn and Hayden Craig, deep snapper and a punter from Florida, coming over with the special teams coach Houston from Florida. I don't have anything on Mulhorn, the long snapper, and you told me you don't break down long snappers anyway, but I got a clip. Okay, this is Hayden Craig, 6'1", 208 pounds, from Maine. He's actually from Quebec, but he played his high school football in Maine, and this tickles me. He was the number 1 player in Maine, kicker punter, number 1 player in Maine 2 years ago, number 1 player in the state of Maine, and he played for Bridgeton Academy. And this was a 53-yard kick to win the game for Bridgeton Academy in Maine. I'm nothing if not thorough, Rich, okay? High snap, gets it down, kick is there, and off of the PE building, they win it. They're excited.
So he's punting for us.
Punting for us, yeah. He was on Florida's roster last year. He did not punt.
I'd like to know who the number 2.
I think they had a senior punting for them this year, so they kind of had him waiting in the wings. I'm
just now curious who the number 2 player in Maine was.
It's worth asking. Do a little research. Maybe we'll find out next week. So, look, you got wide receivers. You made a couple of you restocked your running back room with a couple. I love the safety. I think if you can get Stephylon Green on the field and healthy, I think he's going to be able to help you. And then you got a couple of guys that maybe don't figure in right away on special teams, but maybe down the line. I understand. Where are the linemen? Yeah. I know, okay? And if we come back next week at this time and there's still no lineman, I'll be 7 days more worth of concern, but I don't think that'll be the case. I think when we do our second episode, we're going to either do 2 or 3 of these, however many it takes to get to the the finish line. I think by this time next week, there'll be a quarterback in the fold, and I think you'll have probably multiple linemen in the fold as well.
I'm ready for it. I'm tired of checking my phone every few hours, see what's going on.
Thank you for checking in with us, and we'll be back next week with episode number 2 of the Transfer Portal Class. For Richard Dickson, I'm Charles Hanegriff, and this has been the Hannycast.